Hi, hello, and welcome or welcome back, I suppose. Happy New Year, even though I have both read this book and I'm actually filming this at the end of 2022. Time is an illusion, but I want to get a bit of a head start on next year just so I can, try and have a bit more of a relaxed time. The earlier I get things read, filmed, recorded, uploaded, all that good stuff, the more I can relax and actually enjoy the stuff I'm reading, and it also means that bigger projects become a little bit easier. But anyway, let's actually get on to what we're talking about. Today we're talking about a book that has faced a fair amount of controversy, especially really quite recently, and no, it's not for any good reason. We will be looking at Mouse by Art Spiegelmen. This is a book that was in my periphery for a while. It's the sort of thing that is generally, it's been on my horizons as a book that I wanted to read, but then at the beginning of last year, I believe it was the beginning of 2022, I say last year because I know it'll be last year for you, beginning of this year for me, there was a banning of this book within a school in, it was either Kentucky or Tennessee. It was, in a school in Tennessee. Now, the banning of this book at the school gave the book not only a rise in sales, but it was sold out in so many places. So Amazon, in the US, Barnes & Noble, in the UK, Waterstones, it was being sold out everywhere because everybody's interest was piqued, including mine, as to why this book would be banned. It's one of those books where, you look at the front cover and wonder, oh, maybe we can see why, and then you actually realise the plot and you go, oh no, I can see why, and I don't like it, because the cover may make you think that, an immediate thought of, you go, oh, that's quite visceral, but then you actually even just read a synopsis of it and you go, oh, maybe this book is actually one of those where you go, oh, it's necessary, really? And then I saw it in my local library kind of recently, and immediately, as soon as I saw it, because even if I wanted to, I wouldn't have been able to get it at the beginning of the year, and it's been playing in the back of my mind going, I need to get it at some point, I should get it, and I've been in Waterstones and it's been there, and I've gone, I should, but I'll wait, I should, but I'll get it at some point. And then I saw it in my library, and immediately I was like, there's nothing in the back of my head going, oh, but what if you don't like it, that sort of thing, because I do occasionally get that when I have to, pay for a book, which I think is fair. But with my library, that's the Drover Library, they are free, and I immediately was like, you are coming home with me, and you are being read. Now, I won't actually be talking much about the ban itself. Frankly, the ban was unnecessary, but at this point, with everything about the way the world's working, hopefully my mic does not pick up the fact that my laptop is having a hissy fit. The fan's been whirring like hell recently, I do need to look at that, but anyway, the ban itself wasn't necessary, but with the state of the world as it is at the minute, quite frankly, I'm not surprised, because I looked at some of the reasons and they were talking about the fact that there's nudity in it, and not really. I think I watched an interview with Art Spiegelmen about it, and he was saying there's a difference between nudeness and nakedness, and there is some nakedness within the book. There are bodies being shown, but there's a certain connotation to nudeness, and personally I think that was an excuse, because it has been taught in schools many times, especially in the US, because it's a phenomenal way to teach people of all ages about the atrocities of the Holocaust, specifically linked to Auschwitz itself. So Maus by Art Spiegelmen is kind of a story of two parts. On the one hand, you have the story of his parents, both Jewish living through the lead up to and within the Holocaust itself, and were both survivors of Auschwitz. This is his father's version. This is his father's story of what happened. Now, his parents both moved to New York, but his mother passed when he was a child. And the other part to this story, the sort of on the other hand here, we have the kind of depiction of Art talking to his father Vladek, and the kind of relationship that they had. I'm sure you won't be surprised at all to hear me say that this is an incredibly heart-wrenching book to read. But at the end of the day, I think it's one that is deeply necessary to keep in the front of our minds. This isn't a speculation or a fictitious depiction of events. This isn't wildly dramatised, and this isn't trying to speak for any number of people beyond Art Spiegelmen's family, especially his father, who is, the one telling his story effectively and having his story depicted to us in this book. And I feel like I should say, because I don't know if I have, this is a graphic novel, and we have the Jewish population, sorry, my brain just went on a fog there. We have the Jewish population depicted as mice, the Polish non-Jewish population depicted as pigs, and the German Nazis depicted as cats. I believe there's other animal depictions there, but they're very brief. There's a brief sight of the British there as well, and I think they're dogs, but don't quote me on that. You're not really going to have a more visceral depiction of events that sits with you in a way more than this, I think, because it is just one person telling their story, and telling their story so casually as well. I'm not trying to do it a disservice when I say that the way that the language in this book is written has a kind of mundanity to it. The way the story is told is almost like you are being told over tea, which kind of makes sense, in the sections where we see Art talking to Vladek, his father. We see that they're just talking to each other. This isn't like somebody sitting down writing a memoir kind of thing, where there's, for a start, a kind of formality to it or anything like that, but it almost hurts more because it does feel so personal. This isn't telling you something that you don't already know, but it shines a light on human history, on a part of human history that we are growing far too comfortable with shying away from, and it's absolutely something that we should not be shying away from, especially given the way that politics seems to be turning. And I don't want to deep dive too much into that, because that's not necessarily why you come to me for my reviews. You want to hear me talk about books, you don't want to hear me deep dive into politics, right? Time goes by and fewer people unfortunately are going to be with us, and so they're not going to be able to tell their stories firsthand. So books like this, where while it is secondhand, it's kind of not, it's almost first and a half hand, because it is still Vladek telling his story, and we need to hold on to books like this to tell these stories so we can hold on to them and make sure we don't shy away from what has been. And I can't lie, I actually have no idea how I'm going to segue into my usual outros, because it doesn't feel like a very tactful way to do it, to go from talking about, well, frankly, some of the worst atrocities that human beings have ever been through, to just be like, oh, well, here's what's coming next week, or not next week, later this week, but still. So I guess this is how I'm doing it. I don't know, man. Next week, not next week, Thursday for you. Sorry, this is me getting a bit confused, because, again, planning ahead and all that. We'll be looking at This Time Next Year. This by Sophie Cousins, and I do have plans for the coming weeks, but you'll see that when we get there. But I think Thursday is going to be quite good, because it's something maybe a little bit more light-hearted, because there's no real light-hearted way to talk about, yeah, let's have a real nice, fun, cheeky little talk about Mouse. Oh, let's maybe not, right? So, I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, a wonderful whenever you are watching this. Take care of yourselves. Right.